My people, welcome to the Black Table, where men talk, banter, flies, and feelings. Well, we left those at home. Now, unless you've been living under Elon Musk's Wi-Fi signal, which we all know drops every time his ego rises, Twitter was on smoke this week, now known as X, of course, where Elon and Donald went at it like two uncles at a burial fighting over who deserves the last piece of a goat meat. I swear, these two billionaires arguing online is like watching two bus drivers insult each other in English. Entertaining, but pointless. And somehow makes traffic worse for the rest of us. All right, so we had to toss that there. But as you know, the Black Table remains the ultimate men's guide. And tonight, we have quite a couple of things to talk about, which we're going to dive into that. So, but before we get into that, I'm going to be introducing the gentlemen of the Black Table. Esteemed gentlemen, prestigious in all the rights. I'm going to start with the man to my left. We call him the mayor of Agungi, undisputed, most faithful man in Lagos.
That I would take.
Undisputed. I don't know what he does outside of Lagos, but in Lagos he remains the undisputed man of most faithful man in Lagos. I can't believe I keep saying that, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Tin Gang.
See, faithfulness, I know it might be strange to you.
It's not strange to me.
But, that's why I don't travel a lot. I was supposed to travel today. I missed it. My mom just turned 70. I'm supposed to be celebrating with the family. Unfortunately, I'm here, doing what men do.
Okay.
So it's great to be here always on the Black Table to have these tough discussions.
And it's always a pleasure to have you again. Because you keep it true. Like I say, you balance the scale of, everything we talk about. And of course, joining us for the very first time on the Ultimate Men's Guide, the Black Table, is someone I've known for donkey years. He's an amazing person, all in all. Most people know him as GT the Guitar Man. Of course, he's been in and out of music, and of course, is joining us on the Black Table for the very first time, and we'll be talking about quite a lot. So, GT, where do we start from? Where do we start
from the very beginning, I guess.
I know things about you people don't know, by the way.
Absolutely.
He said you've been in and out of music. I'm wondering, were you ever out?
Well, people have their perception of these things. When people don't see you frequently on the media, they just feel you fizzle out. Yeah. But I still do music. I can't live without music.
It's actually great to see.
Do you guys know he's 40, by the way?
Yeah, and it's almost like an initiation into the men's gang. Kind of having this conversation, because people don't kind of bring me to this sort of conversation because they feel like maybe GT doesn't have much to share, but they'll be shocked today, I guess.
Because I've always seen you as somebody that keeps things personal, doesn't really expose so many things. All you just do is showcase your talent. You're not living a wayward life. You're not making headlines. You're minding your business. So maybe that's why people just feel as if, does GT have an opinion? Or she just,
I guess, and this sort of platform kind of give one the opportunity to share those.
So
and you look good.
At this point, we need to ask you, what have you been up to, and what's your most latest project?
I dropped an EP last year.
Yeah,
I'm currently working on one. The title called Elodie. It's a 5-tracker EP, amazing body of work, and I'm working on the next, on the follow-up. And it's going to be a banger.
All right, fantastic. I need to quickly apologize to the viewers for, starting the show a bit later than usual. But yeah, things happen. A lot of things happen. I can't get into all of that right now.
Of course you can.
Apologies. Meanwhile, before we dive into our quick fires, a little bird whispered into my ears to talk about a bit of football. Nigeria, Russia. I know you do football, you follow. I'm not sure about GC. I know GC was basketball.
This is the reason why
back in the days. That's what I remember.
Yeah, but this is like the reason why people don't invite me into this sort of conversation.
Because
I don't do not like I don't do sport, but football. Sometimes I just wonder why are men, kicking leather, spherical objects all around, and people enjoy it. I'd rather play than watch.
Okay. So here's the thing, and I'm sure you can relate with this. You're very talented. You play the guitar. Not everybody knows how to play.
I can play the
You understand?
Guitar.
Some people would love watching you, but a lot of us like hearing you play it. So it's another gift. It's another talent that's outside your own walk of life. So you'll be wondering why are men gathering doing this. Some men are wondering why is this guy playing the guitar.
Oh.
You get me? So it just, like you said, it's a form of balance in general.
But music is like a natural thing, you know. We all do music somehow.
Yeah.
In churches, even at home, you know. But football, you know, what's it about?
I think we all have what we like, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's that
Well,
simple.
football, let me just say this. We all
Okay.
kick something.
Okay, so at this point, we'll circle back to talking about the Nigerian-Russia.
So yeah, the
football
last
match.
I was following up on the game on my way here.
Yeah.
It was 1-1 before I don't know how the game ended. So and it was actually Nigeria was tipped to lose the game to Russia. So now that you brought it up, I'm wondering, did anything happen after I saw it was 1-1?
All right, we'll get updates on that right after we go on this short break. It is still the Ultimate Men's Guide, the Black Table, and we'll see you right after this. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we've done on the Black Table, which I need to bring you up to speed. We've got something called Quick Fires, whereby we go around social media and check out, you know, what's trending, what makes, you know, a lot of noise. We've got something called Just a Tip, which you will be giving us at the end of, you know, all the discussion we have. And of course, we have Toast of the Week. And then we circle back to the main topic, which is our hot topic for the night.
Okay.
But yeah, before we go into all of that, our first quick fire today has to do with the senior pastor of the House on the Rock, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, who is currently trending after the video is on social media, trending of him flashing a weapon of some sort at the content creator who was filming his car in Lagos. According to reports, the pastor pulled out his weapon after a luxurious car spotter started filming him in public. Now, this video, it's allegedly, we don't know for certain.
Yeah.
We saw something that looked like a weapon, but we don't know for certain if that was a weapon. However, I just want to share a quick story about my experiences driving in Lagos. I have been robbed twice in traffic.
Wow.
While I was in my car, where, you know, I thought it was just any other day, and while I was driving, someone comes close to my window, knocks on it, and he has a gun. And at that point in time, on both occasions when that happened, I really felt bad, and I felt that if I had a way of protecting myself, things would have been different. Now, there's a lot of noise about the video and allegedly what was seen. But I feel, first things first, if this were to be any other person, first, you're a person before the office you take. And you protecting yourself should come first.
Okay, should I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, here's the thing. I share sentiments with the story you shared. My wife was robbed in traffic sometime, I think it was last year. Lucky for her, she didn't have valuables, but her wedding ring was taken. I had a friend a couple of years ago, a doctor, it was a big story, that was shot and killed in Lagos a long time ago. So I understand where you're coming from when you think about protecting yourself. Do you understand? But I think the way this plays out is a different scenario.
Okay, let's hear your thoughts.
It's a whole different scenario. The photographer or the socialite that records luxury cars and the rest wasn't posing a threat. All he was doing was recording. You get where I'm coming from? And if you saw how his car came out, so let's not look at him as a pastor. He's a man first before he's a man of God. If he was a regular person, you're coming out driving a nice Range Rover, love the car, and you didn't have to stop, you didn't have to do anything, you didn't have to brandish any weapon that was in your hand. I don't know what that was, I couldn't really identify it myself, as much as people are trying to zoom in.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You could have just naturally just gone about your business.
Yeah.
But then the scary thing is that if something had happened, and the weapon was used, or a weapon was used, that would have been a different story.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So there was no intention of a crime, an intention of bodily harm.
Yeah.
It was just an observation, because as you can see, he drove, slowed down and wound down, and then said whatever he said, wound back up and continued going. He didn't need to do all of that.
Okay.
Maybe he was trying to inquire what was going on or why he was being recorded, but there was just so much unnecessary stuff that happened in the video, and it was very fast. And what I try and tell a lot of people is that this just goes to show you how human pastors are. Like I said, they're men of God, which they're men first before they become men of God. They're as human as we are. So they could have the same fears, the same questions, and they're at risk to the same robberies that you were talking about. So in all honesty, like you said, if it wasn't him, would it have been a big deal?
Okay, so GT, yeah, nice summation, by the way, but you have been in limelight for quite a while.
Yeah.
And every now and then, do you ever feel like, people are trying to take things off you because of who they feel you are? And have you ever felt like you need to protect yourself?
Yes, several times. I mean, Lagos is not exactly a place you just walk around without being conscious of your environment. You can't, I mean, I was telling my wife yesterday that you can't really just walk the street of Lagos without having some form of, I hope they are not going to rob me.
Exactly, yes.
So I wish they can allow us to all carry arms.
Oh,
it would have been beautiful. At least we'd have been able to protect ourselves. But for what happened, the video we saw, I don't know, because a lot happened on the media these days, and especially social media. Whether that was a toy gun or not, I don't know. But do we really know the exact thing he said to that guy?
Exactly.
Did you?
I know that at the same time, I don't think he's the kind of man that will carry a toy and flash it like it's a real thing.
I still want to play the devil's advocate here. For someone who holds that type of office and is a public figure, I think to a large extent he's probably gone through one or two experiences. Because you see, I feel for anyone in this part of the world to have any form of weapon, it is definitely licensed. For anyone to carry one within their environs and within their own vehicle, it's because of certain traumas. I grew up, you're a first guy now.
My God.
Remember once upon a time when they were robbing houses and they were pouring acids to get into people's home.
Yeah.
People were not comfortable. The police couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
By the time they came through, they'd done the damage. All sorts of things happened. So when you think about those experiences,
I think Nigeria people really
I'll
don't
get
know.
a gun if I have to.
Can I be honest with you? Nigeria really doesn't have gun control the way they should have it. There's a story, this thing just reminded me of a story that happened when I was in Port Harcourt in 2011 around the University of Port Harcourt. There were some cult boys that came out harassing someone with weapons. Do you understand? They were harassing some people around the school premises and they were attempting to shoot somebody. A bystander that was with his girlfriend saved a student's life by bringing out his weapon and shooting. Do you understand?
Okay.
One or two of those fraternity boys.
Okay.
When the authorities showed up, they were like, what happened? They saw some people shot and they saw him with a gun. They said, who are you? He said, he's the one that just protected this person and blah, blah, blah. They now said, what are you doing with a gun? And they shot him.
Wow.
Oh.
Do you understand? Said, what are you doing with a weapon? And they shot him in the leg and tossed him at the back of the van with the other people as well. And people were like, why did you shoot him? He's the one that just basically saved the day. And their argument was, who is he and why does he have a gun? How do we identify this person with a gun? Fortunately for us, in this video, we can identify who the pastor is. But like you said, for example, authorities should be able to say, can we speak to you? Was that a weapon? Do you have a license for that weapon? And so on and so forth. Because in Nigeria, there's certain weapons that domestic-wise, you are entitled to have in your homes. There's certain machinery, let me call it machinery, that you cannot possess. Certain automatic kind of things. If they catch you with an AK-47 as well.
Assault rifle.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If they catch you with an AK-47, that's a different story completely. You're allowed certain shotguns that are sawed off or stuff like that in your homes and whatnot. But to be in your vehicle walking around town with if that was a gun.
I also feel this speaks to the hypocrisy of religion, because for someone who is supposed to preach love and talk about the teachings of Jesus Christ. I mean, I would have not expected reciprocatory. If someone attacks you, they say turn the other cheek.
I'm sorry.
Can I be honest with you?
Sorry.
There are limits to it. I'm not saying the Holy Spirit is not limited in anything, but at the same time, sometimes when you want to protect yourself, you never know. People are using, weapons of the world against you, and you at some point, do you understand?
What about turning the other cheek?
Well, bullets don't touch.
Turning the other cheek, GT.
Do you understand?
Let's not turn the other cheek.
This weapon was fashioned against. This weapon was fashioned against him.
Really?
But I get where you're coming from.
But there was no weapon.
So I get where you're coming from, because people feel like people in his work of life, as a man of God, especially the caliber of man that he is, why is he holding a weapon? And I can guarantee you, there are many men of God, many pastors. They might not be in their cars, but if you come to their homes, you'll be surprised what they will do to protect their flock. So don't put them to the test, all in the name of that they're men of God. You get where I'm coming from? Anything can happen. You could shoot your gun at a pastor and nothing will happen to the pastor. You can shoot your gun to him and something will happen. But in all honesty, nobody wants to sit down and find out. And for somebody like himself that has experiences in the almighty United States of America, where gun control is crazy, you should be ready for anything. Somebody like myself, I'm not going to tell you if I have a weapon or not, but I always tell people I'm a father to 2 daughters and a shotgun. Anything can happen. You understand? So you always want to be prepared just in case than to be caught unaware.
Okay, so finally, before we move to our next quick fire, GT, do you think, based on the insecurity issues going on in the country, do you think majority of Nigerians, if given the possibilities to have weapons to protect themselves, do you think majority of Nigerians will go for it?
Yeah, of course. It's not even whether they should go for it. I mean, not like they will. They should, if given the opportunity to. Because you see, these bad eggs amongst us, it's not like they are better than us. We can face them and finish them in a few minutes.
But here's the problem, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. There was a time I spent time in River State, sometime in my career. And there were times when certain people armed militia to do certain things. And you can't go back to come and take these arms away from them. What do you do when you give young people weapons and at the same time the government creates scenarios where they can't take these weapons back and they now want to fight against the government? Just imagine if people at an End SARS convention were all armed. That would have been a different story every day. I don't think arming people is the solution. Gun control is very hard to literally control. So yes, everybody wants to protect themselves. So it's easy. That's why if I see you with a gun, my first thought, if I don't know you and you're a stranger, my first thought is this, no matter how good looking you are, is that a guitar or is that a rifle? You get me? My immediate response with my weapon is to use it.
But there's a problem. There's a security problem.
Yeah, there is.
There are some bullies who do all sorts of
But if we arm everybody, how do we know who's the armed robber?
We don't have to know.
But I think first things first, you have a right to protect yourself,
Absolutely.
your family, your property, and every other thing. And you see, in all of this, I think it has to do with the context. In this particular video, what we saw was someone showing that, hey, you can't do anything to me because I'm protected by what I have. And I don't see anything wrong in that, because in any other scenario, it could have been something else. But we saw that, and I just feel that maybe more Nigerians actually have, weapons protecting themselves. And if I had a weapon when I was robbed on both occasions while I was in my car, perhaps things would have played out differently.
Yeah, but then at the same time, one thing about gun laws, when you hear about concealed weapons, sometimes if you have a weapon, you need to let people know I am armed.
Yeah, so I'll just
do you understand?
The same thing, like
I am armed.
Don't come near
do you
me,
understand? So first of all, you need to understand, don't mess with because I am armed. But if everybody is walking on that, and that's the problem with gun control in America as well. In the UK, it's a different story. That's why most of them carry knives and sharp objects. It's good to, now when you're arming yourself doesn't necessarily always mean a gun. People carry knives, daggers, machetes, machetes, cutlasses, different kinds of tools. I had a friend that was an engineer. He used to walk around with a sharp screwdriver.
But let's circle back a bit. GT, you're driving, you're in your car, and someone is walking towards your car. recording, how would you react?
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, in fact,
Because you're a celebrity.
yeah, but the Almajiri situation, you know, when they just at every traffic stop, they just approach you. I find that disrespectful sometimes too, you know, because you are encroaching on my privacy.
Exactly.
You know,